Hi, this is Dr. Richard Ruling here to share with you on the Total Health channel again. Thank you for being with us from day to day. Please like this and share it with others. Important topic today again, okay? Let's ask God's blessing and presence with us as we talk about it. Heavenly Father, thank you for your choice to give us life in the last days. Help us to make the most of our time. As we talk about the wedding parables today, help us to see our role and what we should do. You said, to whom much is given, much is required. Help us to see what you require from us. Really, it doesn't seem much compared to what you're giving us, but please help us today for Christ's sake. Hallelujah. The topic of the wedding parables is maybe clarified by a concept of the Rosetta Stone. For those who understand history, they discovered more than 100 years ago, can't remember the date, a Rosetta Stone that had three languages on it: Greek, Egyptian, and hieroglyphics. And they couldn't understand the hieroglyphics, but the other two languages helped them to decipher and to decode the hieroglyphics. Well, a lot of mystery on the wedding. There are millions of Christians who've watched movies and read fictional books that give, I think, a distorted idea of the wedding. They think we're just going to be out of here. I guess they think we're going to eat cake and steak and a milkshake in heaven, but not that way at all, really. And we're going to look at the different parables that Christ gave. And Luke 12, wedding parable, is like the Rosetta Stone. It's the third part of it, and putting them all together, I think we need to see, number one, that the wedding parables are not understood. In Matthew 22, the king's invitation is scorned and ridiculed for the first nearly 9 or 10 verses. Why would you do that, scorn the king's invitation to a wedding? It's his son, basically. And he sends his servants. If we're his servants, we can bear up with the scorn and the ridicule, but we should be inviting people to understand this information, I think, basically, if we are God's servants. And in Matthew 25, they're asleep with their lights out. Even the wise are asleep with their lights out. They don't understand it. And in Luke 12, Peter asked, is this parable for us or everyone? Peter didn't understand it. So that's number one, done, understood. Number two, they all teach a sudden event beyond which there is no time to get ready. In Matthew 22, there's a man there without a wedding garment. Now, the hosts provided wedding garments in Bible times. He could have slipped into the bathroom and been back in a couple minutes, but it was too late. He was thrown out into outer darkness with weeping and gnashing of teeth. When I think of Christ's words about the Laodicean church and the Agalos, or messenger, is naked, he doesn't have a wedding garment. And I think big trouble for pastors and ministers who are not giving this information or sharing it in the near future. Okay? So please share this with your pastor, this thing on the wedding parables, so he might make some adjustment and maybe bring it to the attention of others of what we need to do to be ready. And that's okay. So number one, not understood. Number two, sudden event beyond which it's too late to get ready. Number three, that event is an earthquake. It's a serious event. I believe, as exampled by Luke 12:36, when it comes and knocks. The knock is only found one other place in the New Testament where Christ knocks. Revelation 3:20. We all know that. I stand at the door and knock. It sounds nice. Gentle Jesus always knocking. Except that the church where he knocked ended in an earthquake around 63 AD. Lukewarm. They kept Christ out. He said, I'm going to spew you out. Okay? And the knock did that, basically. And I think Laodicea is in for some huge surprises soon. And the information I'm going to give you helps to understand that better. But in Matthew 25, there's a cry at midnight. And again, that supports what I'm saying about an earthquake. In Egypt, there was a midnight cry. Calamity fell on the Egyptians. And God took his people from there to a covenant and later said, I'm married to you. So covenant made them his kingdom and his bride. And we can do that. We can be his kingdom and bride if we're ready for the earthquake, his knock. Okay. Then how to be ready for the knock. The watching is the idea. Several texts in the New Testament indicate protection for watching. The goodman of, if he had known, in Matthew 24, verse 43, if the goodman had known, he would have watched, not suffered his house to be broken by the thief. In 1 Thessalonians 5, the day of the Lord comes as a thief. When they're saying peace and safety, sudden destruction, verse 6 says, let us watch. Okay. And Christ says in Revelation 3, if you don't watch, I will come as a thief. Well, we don't want that to happen to us. We want to be watching. And the Greek word for watch is Gregorio, means be awake. And we can't be awake every night. But I've got the information to help you on that one, because Passover was the only night in the year to be awake. Sadly, most Christians don't think they do Passover. It's part of bad translation, and you don't know, won't know, never know. Well, the imagery is Passover. That was a time of judgment. God came to Egypt at Passover, and he executed judgment, took Israel to a covenant. And we can be ready for that if we understand the imageries of the wedding parables. The midnight cry goes back to Egypt in Matthew 25, verse 6. A cry at midnight, the bridegroom comes, goes back to Egypt, and the cry there from the calamity. And the other Passover imagery in Luke is that to be watching. Blessed is that servant whom his Lord finds watching. He will gird himself and make him sit down to eat, and will serve him. Well, that's what Christ did at the Last Supper. That was the eve of Passover. We're forgetting context, okay? We just think any old time. No, it's not any old time. God has his appointed times, and they will fit the ones that he appointed, not our setting them and thinking, well, it's got to be now. Well, I think Passover, if we see Jerusalem compassed with armies this 2 weeks from now, I believe we need to be watching. This is an important modification to the idea of Passover, because Christ's closing parables all had 9/11 clues or links. We all know 9/11 is huge. It was a huge event. Every American citizen over 30 understands that. But it's linked to Numbers 9, verse 10 and 11. It's a 9/11 clue from the book of Numbers. And as the days of Noah is supported by Numbers 9, 10, and 11. And also, when he finished those parables with the 10 virgins, 5 missed the wedding, he said, watch, you don't know. It's like a man traveling to a far country. Well, if Israelites traveled in the spring and they couldn't get back in time for Passover, they were to keep it the second spring month, a month later, as the days of Noah. And those parables are tied together by then. You know, that parable began with the evil servant smiting his fellow servants. Then it's like 10 virgins. The 10 virgins is like a man traveling to a far country. That's the last parable. So those 3 parables all tied together by that same timing clue. And I think second Passover, Christ is the one, the master, who took the long journey to heaven. He will return in according to his law, second Passover. We won't see him. God came invisibly to Egypt when he exercised judgment, but that's Christ coming as a thief. Because coming as a thief is to exercise judgment, and we can be ready if we're watching. And so basically that's it in a nutshell. If we want to help others be ready, we should share this video, tell them to subscribe, do so yourself, like it, and do what you can for the information, because I think if we see Jerusalem compassed with armies, we got a midnight cry to give ourselves. You know, the Seventh-day Adventism became a movement of destiny in 1844 when they had a bitter belly experience giving that same message, the bridegroom comes, and a time of judgment. They thought the world was going to burn. Well, since then, they've modified their view of judgment. It's an investigative judgment, and that's fine for what's been happening so far. But in the end time, it's life and death issues again. It's like the book of Daniel. In Daniel's first 6 chapters, he faced life or death, he or his friends, and it's not just looking over books. And so Passover is the time for execution of judgment, and I think we need to be ready, and Christ's clues point to second Passover as the days of Noah. So thank you for listening. Please today get a copy of my book, Turkey Soup for the People Who Are Chicken About End Times. We can do that on Amazon today. If you will go to Amazon, select books, type in my name, Richard Ruling, and scroll down for turkey soup for the people who are chicken about end times. You can get a free app that will fit your computer or phone, so you can read it there or read it on your Kindle, and you'll be a better understanding of those wedding perils and other information. This, the fact is, if we open immediately, is the wedding feast is not really about what we might think as a wedding feast. You know, people go to weddings, they want to get steak or cake or a milkshake maybe, but this is really about unleavened bread, because that's the feast at Passover, unleavened bread. Why that? Well, God got an ignorant bride at Sinai that worshipped a calf 40 days later. Must not happen to Christ. Need to have it straight. And the unleavened bread is a provision so that we understand what He wants from us. And it's pure, straight stuff that you rarely or never hear about in church. So really need it. The churches have kept Christ outside knocking. That message in Laodicea is a 6 or 7 fold comparison to Luke's wedding parable. Both of them get a knock. Both of them are to open. There's a supper in both. He will sup with us, or He will make us to sit down to eat in Luke 12:37. Ruler over all that He has in Luke 12:44 is the same as sit with me on my throne. Both are end time. It's just that we haven't seen the wedding in Revelation 3. It sounds like wretched, miserable, poor, blind, naked. Well, that's because we're so lukewarm and have kept Christ out. But Luke 12 is how to be among the 144,000. The wise virgins get in, and they are the 144,000 virgins. Ruler over all that He has can be for us. My name is Richard Ruling. Wanted to understand it, and I'm sharing it with you because it's not about me. It's about 144,000 if we'll do what we can for the wedding. And there needs to be 144,000 watching and looking for Him on the eve of second Passover if we see Jerusalem compassed with armies 2 weeks from now. That's it in a nutshell. Please, let's do our part. And thank you for sharing. God bless you.